A quick new idea daily from the world's greatest TEDx talks. I'm your host, Atosa Leone, and this is TEDx Shorts. Are you one of many people who has to explain what they do in multi-hyphenates? Like some of us who are podcast hosts, builders, actresses, parents. According to Sarah Beth Burke, the challenge with this multi-label approach is that it can lower credibility. Sarah Beth is a hybrid professional. Today, she'll explain how this term will help you best define your professional identity and work with the career you're meant for.
I had just interviewed a woman who is a teacher, and we were talking about what she did in the classroom. And she said, well, sometimes I listen to my students. I help them with their problems. I give them life advice. And I said, well, is that like being a counselor? She said, no, I wouldn't call myself that. She said, well, is it being an empath? And she said, no, it's not that exactly either. We didn't know what to call it. We couldn't find a name. And I realized she's taking these two different parts of her professional identity and putting it together in a whole new form. Now, the way that people currently solve this problem is they list their different identities. They'll use commas and slashes. They'll have multiple business cards, even different websites. You may have noticed on LinkedIn, people have different identities listed in the header of their profiles. And that's great, except that starts to become confusing because you wonder, well, what do you really do? And what do you do well? It starts to lower your credibility, and people don't understand how these different parts of you fit together. Up until now, we've only had two ways to describe our professional identity. The first way is singularity. You're one thing, you have one title, you're a specialist or an expert. The second way is multiplicity. And that's when you do a lot of different things, right? I just described that. We know there's a lot of terms for this, like being in the gig economy or a freelancer, a job crafter, a multi-talented professional even. People that just have one job title might also wear a lot of different hats in that role and be doing different things, and that's also multiplicity. So what about people that aren't using singularity or multiplicity because they're crossing back and forth between their identities? And they're not compartmentalizing what they do. They're not just doing that and that. They're blending. Well, that's the missing piece. That's the critical way we haven't been able to talk about how to frame our identity. And that's hybridity. Hybridity gives us the permission to integrate across our different professional identities. Hybrid professionals are people who blend and combine their different professional identities together, working from the intersections of those different identities. That's where their unique value lies. It's your differentiator and your secret sauce. Because when you're working from those intersections, you can do things nobody else can do and see things nobody else can see. And that's what makes you stand out. You're finally using all your different professional abilities. Think of hybridity like pizza. You have a bunch of different ingredients. You can eat them one at a time, but they're so much better when you eat them together. It's delicious that way when you bake it in the oven. But sometimes we add new ingredients to pizza that don't sound like they would taste good, like pineapple or barbecue chicken and arugula salad. And suddenly, there's a whole new type of pizza that was created. And pizza restaurants have so much fun creating these new types of pizza and giving them fun names, like Ricotta Be Kidding Me and the Black and Blue Burger Pizza. And you go to that restaurant just because you love that pizza, and that's just like your hybridity. You're bringing these different ingredients together in a whole new way. Now, the point I want you to take from this is that you can have multiple professional identities, and we need that in the workforce. But what happens when you're connecting those identities together? What are the relationships between them? Because that's what matters. When I realized that I'm a hybrid professional, it radically reframed how I saw myself, and it enabled me to talk about my identity in a way that I was able to get jobs I didn't know I could get. When I interview people about their professional identity, they actually can't tell me what their hybridity is because it's such a new concept and they've never thought about it before. So instead, I listen to words they use to describe the way they feel in their work. When they tell me that they're energized and they're most alive, when they're in that zone of genius or flow, those are signals that you're in your hybridity because you're bringing the best parts of your professional identity together instead of segregating and separating them. And when you bring it together, you are your fullest professional self. I believe hybrid professionals are a game-changing idea in the workforce. And I want to leave you tonight thinking about this. What are your different professional identities? And how are you crossing and combining them? Who are you in those intersections? And what type of hybrid do you want to call yourself?
The TEDx talk you just listened to was recorded in Boulder, Colorado. All TEDx events are independently organized by volunteers who believe in TED's mission of ideas worth spreading. Special thanks to the organizing team at TEDx Boulder. Want to listen to more TEDx talks? Explore the entire archive on the TEDx YouTube channel. I'm Atossa Leone. Thanks for listening and see you tomorrow.